Hey guys, and welcome back to Reinvent Yourself with reirei. Of course, I'm reirei, and it's good to see you again. If you're new to this channel, of course, hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. But today's video, we're going to be discussing a phenomenon known as synchronicity. Okay, now this is the topic for this video because you guys on my YouTube poll actually selected this subject. And a couple of days after this video is dropped, I'm going to be releasing a new poll with a new set of topics, so you can choose again what you'd like me to discuss in the next video. Okay, but let's get into this actual subject now. So much like the Mandela effect, synchronicity is a phenomenon that's becoming more apparent in the collective consciousness as our awareness, not only individually but collectively, expands. We're becoming more aware of the subtle mechanisms behind existence itself. You know, the more our consciousness expands beyond the linear space-time curtains or veil of physical reality, the more lucid we're becoming, the more we're seeing how all things are interconnected, how there's different timelines and parallel realities, how the outer world is really a reflection mostly of our inner world, our inner perceptions and belief systems. This is happening, like I just said, not only in the individual level, but also on a collective level. But what is synchronicity? The word etymologically is connected to the Greek word chronos, who is the Greek god of time. Okay. And Jung defines synchronicity as a coincidence in time. But of course, there are no coincidences in life. Everything is precisely orchestrated in a way in which all things are connected beyond the veil of space and time. And that to me is what synchronicity proves. It proves that there is a higher level or order, a higher level of intelligence that connects all things beyond space and time. Okay. Something that happened to you last week could end up serving you, in 10 years' time and vice versa. That's how synchronicity works. It connects all things. However, on an individual level, synchronicity has always been around you. It's just that when you actually begin to expand your consciousness and become more self-aware, you begin to see how things are connected. So for some people who are just waking up, there may seem to be an acceleration of what you define as synchronicity. But as Bashar says, all things are actually synchronicity. It's just that you don't have the appropriate level of awareness to perceive how all things are actually connected. But the more aware you actually become that all things are connected, the more synchronicity you begin to perceive within and without. Okay. So yeah, as I just said, the external world for the most part is a reflection of our inner state of consciousness, our perceptions, our belief systems, our definitions of reality. Yeah. So there have been a few quantum physics studies done, scientific studies done to prove that our thoughts actually influence matter itself. Like the collapse of the wave function, the double split experiment, for example, which shows that when things like material objects are not observed by an observer, like it doesn't have a set of eyes on it, then those things only exist in an energy form. But the moment somebody observes that space, then that energy form turns into objects such as like trees and lampposts and cars, etc. Everything is ultimately energy, and energy itself is consciousness. All things are consciousness. Everything in existence is the one source itself, which some people like to call God, or the light, or prana, or life force energy, or whatever. Ultimately, all things are one in that sense. Everything is energy. And with this being said, then our thoughts are actual things as well. Thoughts are things and they influence matter. But on a deeper level, what's actually happening is maybe it's not even that they influence matter, they just influence what version of the earth that we perceive. Because when you make any changes in your perception, you actually shift to a different version of earth, which is more representative of the changes that you've made in your overall perception. Because perception is power. Perception determines what you actually experience ultimately, and also how you experience those things. Because your perception of any circumstance really dictates what you get out of it. Your perception of any circumstance really ultimately shows whether you're going to actually respond correctly to the situation, or just react automatically. as your subconscious impressions dictate. Synchronicity is also connected to the law of karma. Okay, what is karma? Let's clear this definition up as well while we're here. Karma isn't some punishment system, but set up by some wrathful god who sits on his laptop in some confined antibacterial corner of space-time, recording our laptops, recording our sins on his laptop. The law of karma is simply the fact that whatever energy we put out into the universe, we get it back. And as Bashar calls it, what you put out is what you get back. It's that simple. The word karma actually comes from the ancient language of Sanskrit. The etymological root of the word karma is kri, which means to do. So ultimately, karma means to do. It simply means action, right? But there are two forms of action. There's externalized action, such as when you do things in the outer world, like taking your dog for a walk, or anything that you do externally. But there's also inner activity as well. Thinking is an action, perceiving is an action, feeling is an action, because all activity has, on some level, some form of magnetism. It affects the external world. Okay, so for example, your activities, what you do on a daily basis, that's putting energy out into the universe. Your activity is magnetic, so is your spoken word. The words that you utilize on a daily basis to speak about yourself and other people, for example, that's creative too. And really, your spoken word is only externalized thoughts. They hold the same kind of power. Feeling is even more magnetic. Emotions truly are, as Neville Goddard said, feeling is the secret. Feelings are like 5,000 times more powerful than thoughts. And you're only going to manifest what you want to manifest when your thoughts and your feelings are actually aligned together. If they're not, if you're just thinking good thoughts, for example, happy thoughts, but you're feeling like shit, then of course those emotions are going to render those thoughts useless, quite literally. So it's important to bring your thoughts and like your heart and your brain in alignment with each other. That creates what is known scientifically as heart and brain coherence, and you become more of a creator there. You become more power. You step into your power more when you're not in opposition within yourself, when all players are batting for the same team, basically. But there are two forms of synchronicity, okay, that I want to touch on here, because a lot of people don't really know this. There's negative synchronicity and there's positive synchronicity. However, the negative synchronicity can also be used in a positive way. So it's not even that the synchronicity is inherently negative. It just depends on your perception of those things. Let me give you some examples. So let's just say, for example, you have some limiting beliefs in your unconscious mind. Then what's actually going to happen is, if you're not aware of those belief systems, especially, then the signs and circumstances that you manifest are going to be reflective of those limiting beliefs in your unconscious, to make you consciously aware of what's actually going on within you, because all things are ultimately a reflection of what's going on inside of you. And the universe has a way of showing you, of telling you to go within, telling you to look within. Why did this manifest? There must be some definition or belief system within you that keeps manifesting it. Why do you keep seeing certain signs? Why do you keep manifesting like things that you're afraid of, for example? That's because the emotion of fear is just as magnetic as the emotion of joy, if not even more. When you're resisting something you don't prefer, you tend to materialize it, manifest it. And that's because, like I said before, emotion is 5,000 times more powerful than thoughts. And feeling fear is an emotion. So whenever you see any negative signs and circumstances which try and reinforce those negative beliefs or limiting beliefs within you, it's important to be more honest with yourself and look within. See where your perception is misaligned, because that's where what the universe is doing. It's showing you how your perception isn't aligned with your truth. And once you understand that and you go within, the signs and circumstances, reflective of those limiting beliefs may still manifest, but you'll no longer react or respond to them with fear. They won't trigger you anymore. And when they don't trigger you anymore, that's when you know you've let go of that certain belief. and then you can adopt a more positive perception about yourself and the world as a whole. And negative synchronicity can also manifest in the form of restrictions. For example, there could be something that you want to do. This could be something that you're really excited to do. But I have a saying that, if the door doesn't open, it's not your door. And sometimes when we have a certain desire, the door never opens, no matter what we do, no matter how hard we try, it just doesn't open. And that's the universe telling you, no, that's not your door. That is not your door. Look elsewhere. So you can use those kind of synchronicities also to guide you, because don't forget, everything happens in perfect timing as well. Everything that manifests, it happens exactly when it needs to. So just that, at first, if there is some kind of roadblock, or something's not happening, it's not happening for a reason. But it also doesn't mean that it won't happen later on. It just may not be the appropriate time for you to receive that blessing yet, because it's better to receive our blessings. It's better to receive what we want when we're truly ready to receive it. That's important as well. That's another aspect of divine timing. We get things exactly when we need them as well. So yeah, allow those negative synchronicities and signs to also guide you, not also within, but without. And that's how you'll use synchronicity to not only enlighten the dark tomb of your unconscious mind, but also to guide you away from some of the pitfalls or some of the primrose paths or timelines that may not be representative of your very best self. Okay. And of course, there's also positive synchronicity. Positive synchronicity, really, I like to call it the yellow brick road. It's the yellow brick road that leads us to the promised land of not only of our purpose, but also to our very best self in this life, which ultimately are one and the same, to be honest. Staying on track with the whole Wizard of Oz theme, do you remember in the Wizard of Oz, if you've seen it? If you haven't, I apologize. But anyway, the story's called The Wizard of Oz, and Dorothy done all she could to reach the Emerald Palace to go and see this wizard. But when she got there, she realized it was just some old man who was pushing buttons behind some curtains. He wasn't very powerful. He wasn't really a wizard at all. He couldn't get her home. It's only at the very end when she realized that the power was within her all along, because she had the shoes on, the ruby slippers. She had the power all along, but it's symbolic of one taking full accountability for their own creative power. You don't need to look outside of yourself for some other source to give you what you already have. You're already as powerful as you'll ever be. It's just that you're not consciously aware enough to be able to what's the word, direct that creative power in the most efficient of ways. Yeah. But once you do become more consciously aware, not only of yourself within, but also of the external world and the connection between the both, then of course you'll be able to manifest anything that you truly desire. To get home, to get back home, ultimately, as Dorothy did, is symbolic of us getting back to who we used to be before the world conditioned us to conform with its ways. And that's the entire point of the spiritual path, is it not? To get back to that unconditioned self, to get back to that childlike innocence and playfulness, before the world told us that we're unworthy, that we're undeserving, that we're unlovable, etc. Yes, it may not be our fault, some of the things that happened to us in the past, which, makes us believe in certain ways in the here and now, but it's our responsibility to take accountability for those beliefs in our perception. Because if we're still holding on to negative beliefs as a result of previous experiences that were not very nice, then that's down to us. That's on us. Pointing the finger and playing the blame game never works. So accountability is actually key to self-mastery. So yes, positive synchronicities can guide you. They can encourage you. They can inspire you to really keep on the track that you are. When a lot of positive synchronicity manifests, it's usually indicative that you're on the right timeline, that you're aligned with divine timing, and that everything is going according to plan. Sometimes even your spirit guides and even your own higher self can also communicate to you through synchronicity as well. As Jung said, synchronicity is a coincidence in time, but I don't believe in coincidences at all. I stuttered there, but I don't care. I don't believe in coincidences whatsoever. I think everything is divinely orchestrated in perfect timing. The key is to align with that divine timing and to trust that all things are going to happen exactly when they need to. So yeah, as an overview, when you become more self-aware, you're going to become more aware of the fact that all things are ultimately one. Okay, there is ultimately only one mind in existence, as Dr. Stephen Greer says. You know, the universal mind is one. The universal mind is one. It's a singularity. Yeah, all things are ultimately connected. We're just different waves upon that universal ocean of consciousness. You know, and once you ultimately understand that, or realize, sorry, that all things are one, then your life will just begin to blossom and unfold magically. There is a lot of magic and grace in seeing how all things are actually synchronicity. Okay, but you're only going to be able to put the dots together that are relevant to your current state of development, your current level of consciousness, and that's okay. It's okay if you only see, you know, how certain things are as synchronistic. You don't need to be in a rush to get anywhere. Remember, you reach each new level of perception exactly when you need to in divine timing too. Okay, so I hope you like this video. I hope that I answered a lot of questions for you. And yeah, it was an absolute privilege to do this. And I hope to hear from you soon. In the comment section, actually, in the comment section, I want you to tell me some of the craziest synchronicities that you have ever experienced. Please share them with me. Because before I go, actually, I'm going to share one of mine. There's one sign that I always manifest, which shows to me that I'm on my highest timeline, basically. And that is when I see the numbers 21:12. So, like when it's 12 minutes past 9, whenever I see those numbers 21112, 2112, sorry. I know I'm exactly where I need to be, exactly when I need to be there. Like, and everyone has their own little numbers or little signs which also indicate to them that they're on their highest timeline and aligned with divine timing as well. So share yours with me. Share with me some of the craziest synchronicities that you've ever experienced. I'd love to hear them in the comment section, or love to read them in the comment section below. Until then, take care.